Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
We can hear each other.
good.
How are you doing?
Good. There's your nice fire, huh?
Yeah. Got a little fire going.
Is that a real fire? I mean, is that a
Yes. No. This is a real. Yes. This is the fireplace. It is a
yeah?
real fire. It's a fake log. I mean, it's a Duraflame log. It's not
It's a
real.
Duraflame. Yeah. We use that. We do that too. Yeah.
But you do real wood fires, don't you?
I do I start them with a Duralog.
I see. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm
go ahead.
learning.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm learning how to
You're not
start.
really supposed to, I think, but the Duralog saves the wood. The Duralog burns for 2 or 3 hours and
Yeah.
then yeah. So how's it going?
It is going. How about you? How are you doing?
All right. I mean, this is my second week at work, so to speak. It was all right. I mean, I'm sort of slowly doing, going about, doing some meetings and meeting people and having people come to the gallery. So it's okay.
How does it all feel? Does it still feel? Are you getting used to it, or does it still feel surreal?
It
Or
doesn't feel surreal. It feels, it seems like I'm beginning to understand what it's going to be like.
Mhm.
Um, and it's okay. I mean, uh, uh, people I know are gradually getting vaccinated. So, um, so far, the only people I think I've had meals with in a restaurant have been vaccinated. So that's okay. Everybody seems to wear masks. I mean, I'm not so concerned as I used to be about kind of street stuff.
Mhm.
I've been in a taxi a couple of times, and that's been okay, because you can pay by card and that kind of thing. So yeah, so it's all right, and the weather's getting a lot better. How's your weather?
It has been nice. It's been sunny today. It's a little bit rainy. I was doing a little bit of gardening earlier. I mean, I like it rainy, but no, it's definitely spring. People are definitely out on the
Yeah,
weekends at the parks and things.
yeah,
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, here, so the governor made sort of a big proclamation around opening of schools, and that's kind of thrown everything that we do into uncertainty,
oh,
which is fine. I mean, which is the nature of what we do. We are there to support childcare providers as the system constantly changes around them. So, I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's not new for us, but the coaches that I supervise, it's a stressful time. It has been it has been since January, but it
yeah,
just keeps this cycle of uncertainty and not
yeah,
knowing what's coming next and not knowing how to help people who, I mean, they're on the front lines. They're receiving children every day so that people can go to work there, and
yeah,
they're trying to do the best they can. And we want to give them the best advice that we can. We want to help them keep their businesses open. But things like, I mean, right now, a lot of childcare providers who normally work with sort of birth through age 5
right.
have children remotely that are in school but can't be there physically. So if all these children suddenly go back to school, they're going to lose huge amounts of revenue. They picked up the slack, and now it looks like they may not be needed anymore, and we're going to see how
Um,
so um anyway, but again, the governor's proclamation doesn't even really align with like CDC recommended, so with none of it, like the levels of uncertainty just continue. We found out we got some more grant money, which is great.
right.
um but then the process of trying to equitably distribute that is very stressful, is Um,
is that the responsibility of your entity? In other words, making those decisions?
So okay, so y- yes, I mean it. So ultimately, DCYF, which is the government agency, the Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services, they're not our boss, but they pay our contract. So at the end of the day, it's their decision. But they, because we do have a reputation of equity, and because we have the relationships with the providers directly, they contract us to, yes, basically it becomes our job to decide. And I mean it's hard because sometimes it comes down to, choosing different zip codes based on the availability of childcare. But then if a childcare provider isn't in that zip code, they don't understand how come someone else got a grant but they didn't. And on an individual level, it isn't fair. On a systemic level, to make sure that access to childcare for the most amount of children and most amount of businesses stay open, it is. But at the end of the day, they're right when they're like, this doesn't feel fair. I mean, it's. But we have to, decisions have to be made. It can't, Um,
I
so
think I think what you do, which is similar to what NIFA does, which is to be actually the last link in the chain between
yes,
the money and the people, is very, very difficult. But a lot of foundations give money to NIFA with the instructions,
yep,
but it is very difficult to do the actual, like the Rauschenberg Foundation says, here's money, you've got to give it to artists who have medical emergencies. Okay, well, so that's great, but how do you
right,
define
right.
artists? How do you define medical
No, right.
emergencies?
No. Yes, no, and yes, all the dollars we get come with strings attached. So for instance, when I was talking about those certain zip codes, they're my zip code. They're down here in the South End where people of color live. But to get that approved, we needed the city of Seattle's council, and all seven or all nine of them, representing all the districts, including the North End districts, had to sign off on this. And they're not going to sign off on giving away money, but not in their own, So yeah, all the
Well,
money comes with strings attached. And here's the hard part for the coaches that I supervise. This has never been our job before. Having direct sort of money relationship, having talking to providers about their finances. This has never been a part of their job before. We've only been
really,
there to talk to them about how to improve quality, how to, you know, uh,
yeah,
their dramatic play area and literacy and things like
yeah,
that. This
yeah,
this was
yeah,
all because of COVID and pivoting, and we pivoted very quickly. But they still have to have those conversations. They still have to maintain that relationship and help them continue to improve quality while this, I mean, it affects the relationships. Once you bring money into it, if it, it affects
yeah,
relationships. And so
yeah.
it's a really fine line. I have one new coach that I'm supervising, and I'm really, she's never met any of her providers in person. She's only met them on Zoom.
Right.
Um, yeah,
It's difficult.
yeah, it is. But I love what I do. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
important, and so
Do you think that going forward, that aspect of the job is going to remain? In other words, the financial advice or advising or giving.
I know it is. But I, I'm a lead, and then above me are managers, and then there are directors and executives.
Right.
Everyone above me knows that for a fact. They won't say it, and they can't say it because there's not any. But it is
Right.
known that we have pivoted towards this. At my level, we talk about it, but the coaches don't want to hear that at all. They're just waiting for the word that this will be over. And I mean,
Yeah. 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 But it's
I think
changed.
some of the, yeah,
Yeah.
I think some of them are more realistic. At the same time, again, continuous quality improvement is, and knowing that change and uncertainty, it's always been built into our job. And so,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
which is not a bad thing, because you've got to roll with the times or the circumstances. I mean, that's
I would say for a nonprofit, we've been very fortunate. I mean, we're very stable, and we're very sort of liquid as far as like we can hire and we can.
yeah.
I mean, there are places where their contract comes up in June and they have to fire 16 people or close a whole department, or everyone has to take a pay cut. And I've never been. I mean, I've never been asked to do. So I think.
Oh, I
I mean,
get it.
I don't think people really understand how some of the people I work with don't really understand how the nonprofit world works, which is, um,
No, no, it's true. NIFA gets most of its money from the state,
mhm,
and that's on a sort of 3-year contractual basis.
mhm,
So, but they cannot have the money. In
right,
other words,
right,
we we feel relieved every 3 years if the contract has been renewed. But then this last year in 2020, even though we were in the middle of a contract, we were told don't necessarily expect as much money as we have committed to give you because we might not have it. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. Um, Difficult.
So what else? What else is going on with? So
Uh,
how is the commute? How is actually getting back and forth to
it,
the city?
it's okay. I mean, I can't do it at the best times.
Right.
I needed to get to work by 10 or 10:30 on Tuesday morning, which means getting up at 6, leaving at 7, and it usually takes about 3 hours. So,
Right.
and coming back on Thursdays, leaving at 4, it takes about the same amount of time. It's okay. I mean, it's better. It's better than it's better to have 4 days at home than less
Yes.
than that. So I think it's going to be okay. I mean, we have to see when further. Well, certainly in the fall when Victoria is doing more traveling, Beatrice is back at college. I don't, things may change, but at the moment it's all right.
Mhm.
Before I forget, do you want some money this now? I mean, because I can give you a certain amount every year, which is not taxable for you or me. I can give you $30,000 a year with that, which is not taxable. I can give you more than that, but uh,
Wait, for what?
for what you need to do in
Oh,
terms
on the house or the
on the
yeah.
house, yeah, for
Yeah.
stuff. I mean,
I yeah. Well, okay. So we talked about $20,000, right? I mean, yes.
20 or 30.
Okay. No. Yeah. For the map.
Yeah, and I can give you that's 90. I can give you 30 a year for 3 years. I can, but if you need it sooner than that, I can give you more.
I don't think I need. Yeah. Let's just. I no. I just did a budget Let's just say $25,000 for now, and we'll figure out
Fine. Okay,
when I
that's
need
fine.
the rest later. Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's no problem. I just wanted to get it rolling. That's
Yes.
all.
No, I do need. Yeah. I mean, now of course I've made it through spring, so the furnace isn't on top of my mind. But I don't want to wait until
Yeah,
I
but you
actually.
mustn't wait. It's like us with the generator. We're
Yeah.
actually going to get a generator now,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and not
Um.
wait until talking about it after the next time we lose the power and the
Yes. No.
refrigerator and the
Yeah.
freezer. But now we find out we have to get approval to have a generator.
Yeah.
You have to file you have to, I don't know. It's
No. Okay. So
Oh,
I
by
did.
the
I tell
way,
you. Did
when
I
you do
tell you?
the
Oh,
furnace, when you do the furnace,
yes.
you shouldn't pay tax on, well, at least in New York State, home improvements, you should not be charged sales tax for home improvements. In other words,
Oh. Okay. Okay.
usually the person who does this will tell you that.
Mhm.
Well, you should look up your local state rules, because usually if you're making a capital improvement,
Mhm.
you don't pay sales tax on the thing you're buying.
Okay. All right. No. Okay. So let me back up. um. I think we talked about this. I am still debating how much to invest in this house because I'm
Uh,
still unsure, especially having bought it as is. Um, um, how much
Hold on a second. I got to close the door.
yeah.
Okay, so you're not sure how much to invest, right?
Um, okay. So here's so several things. One, I am slightly terrified that I've made a mistake. I probably should just sell and go back to renting. Like all of this, like all the things of like you need a regulation and you need a license for this and that and the other, like that I didn't know, that I still don't know, that I've been doing this for 2 years and I'm like, I should know this stuff because it could affect me and I don't know. I mean, I knew this. Part of becoming a homeowner was a new adventure to try something, but it's scary. So that's one whole thing. The second
Okay.
part is really, should I invest more than what I'm drawing out of it? Or should I be selling art? I mean, I know I'm not selling it, but should I be selling art to invest in this house? Or should I be drawing from the home equity in the house to reinvest back in the house? So, um, because I'm in any event, at this point I want to remodel the kitchen because if I'm going to live here for however long, and even if I'm going to sell it, the kitchen is I think the kitchen needs to be redone. I'm going to fix the things that are obviously broken: the dishwasher, the fridge, the furnace. I may put in a washer dryer upstairs. I don't think I'm gonna get. I think putting in a second bathroom downstairs is going to be too expensive, too complicated, too what have you. And I think if the roof if there's an issue with the roof, which I don't believe, but you never know because the age of the roof is a question that no one's been actually able to answer. Then that would be that money anyway. I mean, putting in a bathroom is pretty expensive, so I'm still thinking about that. I still like the idea of making the downstairs its own, at least possibly be a separate apartment, but I also that might be a too big of an investment. That's my vision for something that if I were to sell it, someone might not be interested in it. Someone might just want to buy this for the land and tear it down. And then I've invested a lot of, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I'm still figuring out this neighborhood. I'm still figuring out. I also thought, I thought all the apartments down on MLK, like just a couple blocks away that are slowly creeping this way, like even since I've lived here in the 2 years, they've like more condos and apartments were raising my property values, but actually, there's so much I don't know what I'm interested. Did I tell you, by the way? I know I'm rambling. I didn't even realize that dogs have to be licensed, like through the city for $15 a year, and I have not. So these are illegal dogs.
That may be the least of the issues. I don't know.
Well, I really love my dogs, and I don't want them taken away. No, the worst that will happen is I'll get fined $125, and I don't know if that's like daily or that's. But if I were if
Dogly.
right, or per dog or for whatever.
Dog.
In any of it. So yeah, I don't know. License regulations. Yes, you need to inspectors that I don't think I've had that I'm supposed to have for things that I probably have that I don't even know that I'm supposed to have.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're necessarily that different from a lot of people. Let's put it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. No, I also give myself that grace. I know.
So my comment would be that that I understand not making it, a super house and then finding out that it's only ever worth the cost of the land because people are going to build apartments on it or something.
Right.
But I think that generally speaking, it's better to maintain your investment
Mm-hmm.
because you are either sustaining the value or you're increasing the value with what you do regardless.
Yes. Yes.
You have enough. I think, I mean, I would think that with the assurance of 90,000 for MAP, you have enough to do the minimum you want to do without taking out a second mortgage.
Oh, right. And no, right. And I mean, which I wouldn't do. I mean, if anything, I would refinance the mortgage I have now. I mean, everyone keeps. I think I actually miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, but you know, I hear what you're saying, and yes, I agree. To maintain, I want to maintain the value. I don't want it to. I don't want it to decrease. I don't. There are certain things with um, like they're not mold. Moss is like growing along the siding, and I'm like,
Yeah,
should I power wash that? I don't know what to do, but I'm like it's a visual blight. It's a visual blight to me, to my neighbor. Like, I want to be someone who maintains, at least who maintains my house. I understood that I was getting a pretty good discount, and by discount I mean it is impossible to buy a house for under $500,000 within Seattle, city of Seattle limits, the actual legal limits of Seattle. And that was true then, and it is just as true now. Houses in my neighborhood, which are smaller than mine and older than mine and in similar condition, are selling for 5, 6, 7.
okay.
But what my house was very outdated. I could tell. I was like, oh, I'd been spending so much time on Redfin. I was like, oh, 80s remodel, 80s remodel. Like, I could tell it had not been updated at all, and that's what I got. You know, I bought it as is. So at the very minimum, I would want to do cosmetic
Yeah,
upgrades and maintenance, maintain all the
yeah,
structures to make sure that
yeah,
that's I think that's what I want to do, and make it a nice kitchen. I think a center point kitchen will increase the value in a way, and will increase my enjoyment of the house while I'm here.
yeah.
So I think
Okay, that's reasonable.
yeah,
All of that is reasonable. I mean, because beyond that, there is no house that is not just a bottomless pit.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
always,
I figure that, yes.
I know
Yeah.
that from this place, there's it never ends. So you do have to say, like I've said, like, I have made my peace with the flood stains on the living room ceiling, because I
Uh,
know we fixed the roof. So that's not going to get bigger,
right.
right? Most people who walk in don't look at it. They don't see it, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, or you've probably even pointed out to me,
No,
and I still don't know what you're.
you don't need to know, but the point
Right.
is it's something that I could do, and it would be a
Yes.
big disruption.
Yes.
It would cost quite a lot of money,
Right.
and I would perhaps be the only person who is who would notice it, right?
Right. Uh,
So you have to choose your battle.
yeah.
I
Um,
mean, the kitchen is a place you spend a lot of time and it's a comfortable place, and you do that. You don't, if you don't going to go downstairs much, you don't have to go downstairs much, right? So, yeah. How are the hens? Do you still have the hens?
oh yeah. They're great. They are. Yeah, they're the stars of my zoo workplace Zoom. They're oftentimes pictures of my chicken as my background. This
Good.
week we had the theme for our all staff meeting was like, what is your, well, it originally went out as, what is your spirit animal? And then Donnie, our Native American staff member, had to like point out, like, let's not do that, and added several articles about why that's not okay. And then so it was just, what is your favorite animal? Which, sure, I mean, anyway, but so no, yes, my chickens are, I'm known, Bob the chicken guy. They're great. We had been feuding, because I'm fighting with everyone apparently. They now live on the porch. They don't live in, they thankfully, okay, so somewhere about 8 months ago, they moved to the porch. They always used to hang out there at dusk, but then they would go to their coop at nighttime, which is what, like, I never knew anything about chickens. I thought, do you have to put them in there? No, they would just go. And then one day they stopped. And then so I would be taking them, but they would be flapping and clucking. It was this huge, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. I'm like forced, and now I'm like locking them in their cage, which they'd always been free range. They come out in the morning, they go in at night.
Yeah.
And they were laying their eggs under the porch. That was the biggest problem, because I would have to like literally crawl like through it, like dirt, to like get there. I was like, and I couldn't leave them there because then they would rot and I'd have like rotten eggs. So they stopped that. They still sleep on the porch. they
Yeah.
now have like basically a litter box because they
Okay.
poop while they
Yeah.
poop all night while they sleep. So they have a litter box on the porch that I just empty in the morning. They lay their eggs in the coop. They do hang out in the coop. It's their house, but they like to be where we are. Through the snow, we had a snow in February. They
Yeah.
were huddled there. I was like, you're not gonna go into your coop in the snow. Like I took pictures of them just like huddled together. But Tilly is her breed is known to be a hardy cold weather
Okay.
bird. And so
Yeah.
this is a byproduct of the breed that
Yeah.
I chose. This is their personality. This is how she asserted herself. And I've stopped fighting it. So yeah, no, they live on the porch now, but they're good. No, I want to get two more. So I did so I know I'm an animal hoarder along with all kinds of hoarding. I am not allowed any more indoor animals, along with learning that they all have to be licensed. You can only have, so we have 2 dogs and 1 cat. That's it. 3 is your maximum. The rats don't count, small pets don't count, and chickens don't count because they're a yard animal. I can get up to 7 chickens, but that's too many. I want 2 more, and I think I will be.
You're determined to live within the letter of the animal laws, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good. Okay. It's
Though as far as like how can I skirt this, one of my many ideas, what turning the great big room downstairs into one of the ideas of was always, could this be a childcare? That still could be. I chose it because it has 2 exits. It meets many of the criteria that could
yeah.
be an
Yeah.
in-home childcare. More recently, I thought, again, licensing regulations, I would rather be a dog a dog daycare. I
Okay.
think,
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there's less sort of.
I thought you were going to say goat. No?
Oh, oh no! I am allowed. Okay, within this, if either of the dogs die, I I am allowed a goat. Nick knows this. I'm allowed a goat or a miniature pig, but I cannot have a horse within the city of Seattle limits.
That's a relief.
Yeah. Well, for someone, yeah. No, but yeah. So skirting the law by starting a doggy daycare. Obviously, that's not as rewarding as a human daycare where you're like shaping the future. But I think the legal liability at this point, like I'm like, I just want dogs running around in my basement all day. That sounds like fun. That's what I want to make money doing. Uh,
You have a lot of poop to pick up, huh? In the
I
yard.
already do. I mean, I already
Yeah, I
between the
bet you
dogs,
do.
the chickens, the rats,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
cat, which yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All
I
right.
run a zoo. It's fine. I mean, yeah.
Oh, I know. I
I
know.
always have. No, I always have. So
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I like living out in the country now is that I don't have to, the dogs actually they wherever they do, most of the places they do are really in the woods. So I don't have that chore anymore.
mm.
Although they do like to go in the middle of the driveway if they can, exactly in the middle of the driveway.
When, in the big snowstorm that we had like about a month ago, Duke stopped right in the middle of the street as like cars are like swerving their way
Yeah.
slowly towards us and like poops literally right in the middle of the street. I think because the sidewalks were so packed with snow that it just was the place that felt clear for him.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Yeah.
right here. No, they're fine. I mean, I take them on walks. I also just let them out a lot and they poop in the yard. I clean that up like once a week, but also the rain washes a lot of it away. I don't clean up after the chickens. They mostly poop, I don't know, somewhere that I don't see,
Yeah.
and or
Yeah.
the rain washes it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. There are parts about apartment life I miss, or more urban life I miss. There are
Yeah.
parts of home life that I never appreciated before that I'm definitely leaning into now. And
Good. Good. Yeah. 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 That's good. So I had an exchange with Nick about art and suggested he see the Jacob Lawrence show. And I've renewed your subscriptions. I have to send
Yes.
you I'm going to getting the membership. I'll send you the cards when I get them. Okay.
Is his name on it? Like, can he just show
It
up with
will
his
be his.
ID?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. You'll each
Yeah.
have a card with your name on it,
Yeah.
or
Good.
maybe an electronic one. I have to see. I have to
Yeah.
talk to him
Yeah.
tomorrow. Okay.
Do you know when that's on until?
It's on until May. It's into May.
Okay.
It's on for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
so
Um, so can I ask you? I would like to commission a work like the one you have in your yard.
yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did already mention this. Okay. Do you have did that? Do you any? Does that? Do you want to do that? Do you want? Does that?
Yeah, I'm very flattered, but what I mean, we have to talk about the scale.
Mhm.
What scale do you want it?
The scale. Okay, the scale. Well, now we have to do research. The scale would be dependent on how deep my yard is. I mean, if this is if anything, we're talking about an outdoor installation. My idea. Well, no, it's your art. You create anything you want. But I'm thinking an outdoor installation and something buried or something because that's your.
Well, there's another iteration of this where which I wanted to do where the the shaft, the long shaft is parallel to the ground
Yes.
and one arm is buried.
Yes.
So it's like a bench with a
Yes.
thing
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so it's like a bench on one leg with a thing sticking up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know how it would have to be engineered because people would be tempted to, it would have to
And
work.
it would
Could
have
actually
to
sit on.
actually right.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, it would be in our yard. So, well, who enters our yard? No, I don't know.
Well, the
That's it.
hands would sit on it.
Yes, the hens would sit. Yes, that's true. Um,
So, okay, well, it's going to take me a while to think about this and get it, it'd have to be fabricated
yep.
out there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's doable. Okay. Okay. You'll have to keep reminding me, but I'm gonna write it. It's on my to-do list. My to-do list has a 2-year expiry date. In other words, no, I do get to do everything on my to-do list. I don't take things off, but
Right.
sometimes
No. Yeah.
take
Yeah.
up to 24 months, right?
Yes. Yes.
They don't have to, but I'm just telling you that.
That you. That's the scope of your. And what happens if you reach 24 months and it's still on your to-do list and you haven't done it, or do you
I can
just
do it
make
very
yourself?
quickly. Then I have to do it very, very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yes.
I have to
Fair
do
enough.
it badly. I have to do it badly and quickly. But
Do you,
as I'm getting older, I may have to reduce that amount of time because I don't know. Nobody's told me how much time I have left.
right. No. Right.
So
Um,
I'm trying to find that out. But
Um, do you remember when I worked at the Earth School, Franciscan Montessori Earth School? We did the tulips, which were inspired by
yes,
Christo, which I
yes,
personally was not inspired by Christo, but Sister Anne, the she
yes,
was
yes,
more
I
inspired
do.
by
I
that,
do.
and um, somewhere those tulips, which were fabricated by, I mean, they were made out of bent metal pipe
Yeah.
in concrete, like, 5 gallon buckets that were like, they were anchored in 5 gallon buckets of concrete with cloth. Somewhere those were stored. And I bet they're probably still like at the nuns, like their property in the winery. They're in like some barn or something. I
Yeah.
want one or two of those. Like, I think probably some of the nuns unfortunately have died and some have retired and whatnot. But Sister Anne was pretty young. I bet she's still around. I'm gonna see if
Well, you should.
because if I could have a couple of those, I would. Yeah.
I think that's a very good idea. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're just, I'm going to have someone feed the dogs. Hold on a second. I got to send out a SOS.
SOS.
Yeah.
Do you see what Duke has done here? Do you see he goes under the blankets.
Oh, yes, that's very good.
Yeah, yeah. If you need to go, that's okay
No,
too.
I don't. I don't. I feed the dogs every day at 5 o'clock. I don't have to feed them every day at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
So that,
Yes.
that's fine. No. So is he under there?
Yeah. Yeah. He's an
Oh,
undercover dog. Daisy, yeah, Daisy doesn't like to be under the covers. He likes to be like snuggled on. Yeah, he always, yeah. And it's funny because we leave various blankets around the house, and he like charges at them to get. He doesn't quite know how to like. I mean, well, he doesn't have the dexterity to like pull it over himself, so he has to like. But he figures it out. He gets himself. Yeah, no, he's an undercover dog.
that's amazing because when if either of our dogs get, they don't like to have their heads completely
Mhm.
covered. They will always.
No, Daisy doesn't like that at all. But Duke, yeah, no, that's it's Duke's comfort zone, and especially like if there's thunder or fireworks or things
Yeah.
like that. No, he
Okay.
like I almost like some of my coworkers have like I have a weighted blanket, but we talk about like weighted blankets, and I'm like I'm unsure about pets and weighted blankets, but I almost feel like he needs like some like therapy, like yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's like a blankie. Yeah.
They were so they I mean they apparently came from a backyard breeder. I don't know too much about them. Like I
Yeah.
said, I mean I bought them off Craigslist. It
You
was
should be able to get a license online, probably, can't
oh no
you?
okay no here's the thing I okay here's the part. Yes, you can get a license, but you're supposed to have all their medical records. All I have is someone's word that they got 2 out of 3 worm shots, and I never even took them to get their third. That's where I am right now, and it's a year later. I haven't taken them to the vet. I'm afraid to take them to the vet because the vet might microchip them. They might belong to someone else. I mean, I'm trying not to like freak out about this, but I'm like,
You are.
um,
I'm sure there's a undercover vet. I'm sure there's a.
no. Okay, if they belong to someone else and they were stolen and somehow went into my property, I want them returned to their original owner, obviously. If they're microchipped and there is a medical record, that would actually be great because then I can license
Yeah.
them legally. If I made this weird illegal sale in Renton off of Craigslist, Renton being outside of city of Seattle limits and it has its own limits,
Yes.
rules. And then I brought them into Seattle and now they don't comply with city of Seattle rules. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but they're my dogs. And yeah, I'm going to, yeah, I don't
You
know.
smuggled a ferret, so you're an animal smuggler of.
Okay. So I from a family of animal smugglers. So all right. So Aunt Betty. And Aunt Betty has I'm I've had she smuggled rodents on her body through an airport in Pittsburgh for me. We all
Okay.
did. Various Findlays and Simses
Oh,
carried rodents
okay.
through for me. We've smuggled cats into and out of Canada. We are a multi I come from a family of animal smugglers. Um,
That sounds terrible, but I
no,
guess
no, and that's me rethinking lots of things and being like,
no
okay, so
elephant trunks or anything. No,
say it again.
no elephant trunks or. Well, yes,
Well,
yes. Your uncle
I
Alex,
agree. Yeah, yeah.
he had those huge, huge,
No,
right?
and I mean, to this day, when my mother died, did she not die owning ivory? I don't even know. Like, what did we sell that? Was it seized? Like, well, I don't even
I can't
remember.
hear you. Your sound is going funny.
I'm sorry. I said, when my mother died, did she not still own ivory, or had that been sold? Or I don't even remember. I didn't even process but she had a fair amount of ivory. It was in a like glass top case that
He had ivory jewelry. Yeah.
which I believe if you owned it free, if you bought it like it's still legal. Like I can't remember.
Well, I don't think she had it when she died because
Right.
it would have gone to auction and they wouldn't have been allowed to sell it.
Right, and I don't remember any of this coming up, which is why I assumed she must not have had it by then. But I did, yeah. In any event, yes. No, I guess so.
By the way, Elsa Peretti died on Thursday.
Oh my. Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
I just found out about an hour ago. Somebody had sent me an email.
mhm.
Um,
She was working. Well, yeah. I mean, she was still designing till the end. Yeah.
well, yeah, she she said she was retired, but the point is that Tiffany was still selling her
Her design.
design.
Yes. No,
She's
yes. Yes.
still
Yes.
so she was 80.
But no, well, no, yes, it wasn't, but they weren't the same pieces. Well, I don't know who was designing it, maybe, but because I follow Tiffany and her because I don't know, I was raised that way. It was
Your voice is going bubbly.
okay.
Um,
I don't know what to do about that. I was just gonna say, it was more the recent designs that are under her name, and I don't know who designed it. Maybe it was just part of a corporation, but licensed to Tiffany that were new and still part of her series, but new. Yeah, okay.
I think they're still, I think they were her. I think she was still designing. I don't think she sold her name because she didn't have to do that. She was actually very wealthy, so she didn't have to do that. I think they were her designs.
As recently as like 2019, like new collection.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
but no, that's.
But no, it's sad. But yeah, it's sad. But you know, anyway, the the person who told me was Kilolo Luckett. She sent
Yeah.
me an email. I just got it an hour ago. Said, yeah, because she had spoken to Elsa on the phone about your mother. So she had quite a lot of material. So she was glad that she had done that. She had hoped one day to meet her, but you know that anyway. So
But yeah, no, I mean, just rethinking so many things. Like you said, history softens things, it changes perspectives. No, but so okay, so someone is running NaomiSims.com. I don't know who that is, and a couple of years ago, I was like, I need to use some of this money to like figure out who it is and sue them and whatnot. But I think it's actually just a legacy site because they're still selling her her makeup and cosmetics from the 80s, and I don't think anyone's manufacturing that. So I'm like, if you actually try, I want to actually try to order off of this site and see what happens. Like I think it's probably just a.
well, you should do that.
I,
It would be interesting to see.
but also, if Aunt Betty is running it, if Aunt Betty, because last I heard there was still a store in France or in Africa, there was still Naomi Sim. Maybe there is. That's great. I don't know what she's doing. Aunt Betty, she was tough on me when I was a child, but she tried to help me understand things that other people in my family didn't, and I appreciate that now, I guess.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Elsa, history. The thought of history being lost, the thought of people who know these stories, and me being one of the few people who know these stories, like just the thought of this of history being lost is, yeah, I've been thinking more about it.
Yeah. Well, this is true though. The older I get, I realize, you know, when somebody dies, is a little bit older than me, and I think I'm the last person that knows stuff about this. I'm, in other words,
Yeah.
and it maybe not that important, but it's, you know, if I don't know. I mean, you know,
No,
I've jotted things down that artists have said to me over the years and kept some material. And I realized that if you don't do that, people just make stuff up. No, they don't necessarily do it maliciously. It's just that it becomes, you
yeah,
know, things like there's a there's an Andy Warhol quote, which is now become Googleable as a quote, right? Which doesn't sound at all like him, because it's a quote that has a kind of a intellectual analysis of his own work, which he never did. And the quote came from an article that a writer made about 10 years ago as a fictional interview if Andy Warhol was alive now. Now, he clearly published it as a fictional interview if Andy Warhol was alive now. But of course, he didn't know Andy, so he made it up, right? But there's a paragraph that's become attributable, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No. So for me, no. When I think of the eras of my life that are significantly documentable, my Brooklyn Tech era, I don't have to worry about. There are much more reliable narrators of that era. There are people who actually go to the reunions and who obviously keep track, who have all the documentation, the flyers, and all that. Though in my mind, I've been like, I remember all this so in such rich detail, and someone in it's lost, but it's not. Other people remember it. New Mexico punk scene in the '90s. I participated in a, your old school Santa Fe like Facebook group, and yeah, I feel like there were a lot of people there. It was a very tight knit scene. But San Francisco, both the political and the music scenes in the '90s, the way I remember them, just because I guess there were so many perspectives and people layer their own onto it, I see it misrepresented all the time. I see not necessarily like misattributed quotes, but like, yeah, things that someone said happened at a show that I just know didn't happen. Things that someone says a political activist was in favor of or against, that I just know they weren't. That was to the core of their being, they weren't. But they were aligned with someone who was. So now it makes sense that maybe they were. But and it's interesting to see your own personal history become history. I guess
Yeah. But one thing I also found out when I was convinced that I had shared a 6th floor walk up on 6th Avenue below Houston Street platonically with Marsha Holzer and a friend of hers called Larissa, and we were roommates. That we were just roommates.
I heard this story. I know this story.
I was. I remember this, okay, because I remember Marcia's mother arriving from London and bringing her English food in a suitcase and da da da. Now, when I talked to Marcia about it, she was absolutely adamant that it was not Larissa. And I think she finally gave me, I don't remember exactly how, but she proved it. She proved it. And it doesn't matter, except that I had been carrying that as a clear memory, right? Well, not necessarily as a visual memory, but a fact memory. A fact memory, right? Because I remember Marsha and I used to listen to the Who albums from England that would come from England, and Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. We had that English thing going. And Larissa, I put in there because she and Marsha were like buddies all the time.
Right.
but it wasn't Larissa who was in that apartment. I don't, she told me who it was, and and I think she was right.
No, I know I'm an unreliable narrator. Like if I know, yeah, my own memoir would be highly colored by my own perspective, which is highly inaccurate. My memory of Marcia Twinder is that she made me an incredible Robin costume, like incredible. I mean, she was a professional like costumer.
Yes.
Incredible hand-tailored Robin costume. But me being me was like, oh, I see your son gets to be Batman. Okay.
Oh, I thought he was
Yeah,
Batman. Rusty was Rust. No, not Rusty.
Trevor, right? Wait,
No, I see him from time to time.
wait, Marcia Trinder, no, no, you're right. Wait, but she was the costumer though, wasn't she? The Broadway.
Yeah. His name is. I'll tell you what his name is.
So no, to this day, okay. So first of all, to this day, I love Robin. I love Robin more than Batman. And if we still had that costume, what?
Okay. Chaytor.
Yes, yes.
So, but what Marcia has changed, right? She is now Marsia. She spells her name M-A, and she insists that she always did. And I can prove that she's wrong.
Right. Well,
but I don't want to do that.
No, I mean, no. I also have reached the age where I can call other people out on their revisionist history, but I mean, why? Like, yeah, that doesn't surprise. That's funny to me.
A boy I went to school with at the age of 8 and 9 and 10, right? He changed his name from Anthony to Felix. Mm-hmm. Okay. And his name was de Mendelssohn. So he was Anthony de Mendelssohn, and he changed his name to Felix de Mendelssohn because we were very close friends, and I helped him I advised him, right? He died a couple of years ago, and he was the very, very distinguished head of the Sigmund Freud Psychoanalysis Institute in Vienna. His parents were Austrian, and you Google him, and he's the famous Felix de Mendelssohn. He married twice as Felix de Mendelssohn. His children thinks he was. I'm the only person now, and now he's dead, right? I know his real name, right? I mean, I know. He thought Felix was more distinguished than Anthony. He was right. And he became a psychiatrist. So take that.
No. I'm processing. I'm processing, and obviously, everything is about oneself. I'm just thinking about when I went to college and immediately made the hard change to Bob, but insisted it was a nickname given to me by friends in high school, which was an absolutely untrue story that I made up. That being said, the year that I lived in San Francisco, my nickname was Jinx, and that was given to me. A street name, which is a street name when you're homeless, is something that you cannot give yourself. It is something that has to be given to you. And that was,
what was the name?
Jinx, J-I-X. That's what everyone who knew me in San Francisco knew me as. They would not know Bob Findlay at all, or John Findlay, in anything. But yeah, no, I definitely, I just reconstructed, and people bought it and accepted it. And
well, I changed my first wife's name completely.
I remember. Yeah.
She still is, and she kept it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only good
branding is good branding. I said good branding is branding.
Branded?
Good branding is good branding. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, true. That's what it is.
So No, part of me always will still feel like John Findlay. That is who I am. That's somewhere in there. But Bob Findlay, you've always said you don't look like a Bob, and not looking like a Bob is what has worked for me, I guess.
No, you told me way back when I asked you,
uh,
I think, why Bob? And you said, because I'm not a Bob. That actually made sense to me,
yeah,
knowing you, knowing your personality at the time.
it
It
still
made
does. It still does. So yeah.
it still does. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Despite the fact that your grandfather was Bob Findlay, but he was totally a Bob.
Right. Well, no, it was multi-layered. That was obviously not. I mean, it's like an Eminem lyric where you're like, is this a double entendre or a triple? Like, it's so dumb you miss it, but it's actually clever. Yeah, no, it was an homage to my grandfather and both grandfathers. I wasn't giving up one name. I was drawing them together somehow in my mind. Like, yeah, no, I have. There's a whole thing, but or not.
What's in a name?
What's in the name? Right. What's in the name? I love you, Dad.
I love you, sweetie. Okay, I hope you have a good week. Okay.
You too. Yeah. No,
You're
you too.
still, are you still would you go into the office now?
I go in about once a week, usually on Sundays, but I'm not going in today. And usually just to print things and send things out to my team. They
Yeah.
email things they want printed, and then I do that, and then just to have a presence. But
Yeah, 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 I
yeah,
know.
but I have a whole home office that has been my home office
Good.
for over
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
All right.
yeah. No, you have a great week too. I love
I
you.
love you. I love you, Bob. Stay
Okay.
safe. Okay.
You too. Yeah.
Next
Okay.
week. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Cool. Bye.